Hi and welcome. My name is Jessica Rehal, and I am a yoga instructor. I'm located here in Southern California, just right outside of Los Angeles, and I'm very excited to be sharing or leading practice for you on this beautiful app. Um, the class today is going to be a grounding class. We're literally going to be on the ground, supported by the earth for the whole practice, and it's really going to be geared towards easing or soothing anxiety. Um, Anxiety is something that I can relate to that is close to me, unfortunately. And if you're here watching this, you might be feeling a little bit of it too. Um, so I'm excited for you to join me for our practice today. You don't really need any props at all. I do have a bolster which I'm seated on, and I will be using a block in the practice. If you have a block, bring it. If you have a bolster or a pillow, pull it to the side of your mat. You may use it, you may not. But if you don't have any of those, please don't stress. Just grab a blanket, which can kind of take the place of everything here. And let's get started seated in easy pose, Sukhasana. So find a comfortable seat. If you're on your bolster, great. If you have a blanket to fold up to bring right under the sits bones, that's helpful as well. Otherwise, just sit however is comfortable to you. And we'll take a few moments before we get started to settle into the body, to find the breath, and to find softness in the body, in the face. So, as soon as you settle into your seat, either soften your gaze, maybe down, or if it feels okay, close your eyes. Allow the arms, the wrists, the hands to rest comfortably down on your body or off to the side. Allow the shoulders to kind of inch away from your ears and your neck. Slowly let everything in your body settle and notice the places that feel vulnerable. Maybe you have some aches and pains or tenderness or soreness somewhere, or just a pocket of stress. Take inventory of what's going on in your body right now. And start to tune your awareness into your prana, your breath. Without changing it, and maybe you've already started to breathe a little bit deeper with that little awareness. Try to just notice what your natural state of breath is right now. And, you know, if you're dealing with some anxiety, if you're a little bit stressed out, that breath might be like right in the throat or right in the top of the chest. It might feel tight. And that's okay, that's normal. I'm just going to kind of acknowledge or understand where we are today. And then maybe on the next inhale, when you come back to that awareness, you start to deepen it, allowing the breath to slowly and gradually grow and expand beyond its baseline. On the next inhale, as you breathe and your chest puffs out and your body gets a little bit bigger to receive that breath, think of pulling back. So, kind of offering a little bit of resistance to that breath. So, your body will expand and get bigger. And I want you to think of kind of drawing the chest back. So, there's a little bit of synergy, a little bit of slight tension in the breath. So, as your body expands, think of keeping everything tight. And as you exhale and you sink down, think of making yourself a little bit bigger. So, kind of resisting that tendency to shrink down slightly. So we're slightly pulling the body back on the inhale, and on the exhale, we're expanding it out. And that opposite action, that reverse action in the body will create a nice synergetic breath. Slightly resisting the expanse of the inhale. And trying to kind of keep your body growing a little bit on the exhale. 2 more breaths like this. Feeling very aware of the middle of the body. And sigh it out on the last 2 breaths, audible exhale. Very good. Your eyes are closed. Let's blink them open here. We're going to come to our hands and knees from here. And then we'll find a child's pose. And if you do have a pillow or a bolster prop that you're using, or even a blanket, you can use that to support your child's pose here. Yoga's choice, whatever works in your body today or feels good. I like to bring my bolster between my knees slightly, and I bring my knees out nice and wide. You can have yours close together. And then lay the torso down. And you can always stack the forearms and use that to rest your head, or you can come to the side of the face and start to sink the hips back towards the heels and allow the shoulders to soften. And come back to that deep rhythmic breath that we established just a few moments ago. And notice how the breath is kind of flowing a little bit differently through the body. You might feel it through the low back. And as we practice, as we move our bodies, if you have any anxious thoughts that start to not just pop up, but take over, come back to this rhythmic breath until you feel safe, until you feel like you can just be without being attacked by these thoughts. The thing is, we can't stop the thoughts from popping up. They're going to pop up. Our brain's a machine, it's very powerful. We can redirect the thought, we can watch it dissipate, you know? And if you're resting on one side of your face here, this is a good opportunity to switch sides, switch directions to give your neck a little equal opportunity on the stretch there. Remembering to keep the hips pressed back. If you need to find some movement here, find some movement here. And on your next inhale, start to walk the hands underneath the chest or the shoulders and come back to tabletop position. And find tabletop position here. We will breathe through just a couple of rounds of cat-cow to get our spines nice and awake. So starting with the inhale, draw the chest through the shoulders, gaze comes up, tailbone kind of pops back. And on the exhale, round through the spine, tuck the tailbone under, chin comes down to the chest, crown of the head comes down. Press that space between the shoulders up towards the sky. Inhale. cat pose. Really thinking of folding the shoulders and the pelvis away from each other. And on the exhale, think of folding them in towards each other or hugging them in together. Finding your own pace here. One more round. Very good. Exhale. Release. Very nice. And then come back to center. We're going to thread the needle next. Now you can definitely do this with your props, either block or your bolster or without. I think I will invite my bolster in this time to thread the needle. So if you're going to be using something, you're going to want it to be kind of underneath the chest or where the shoulders line up to support your body. So we'll start in this tabletop position. Knees are hip width distance apart. Hands are underneath the shoulders. Feet are relaxed. You're going to shift the weight into the left hand or the right hand. It doesn't really matter which side you start into. So let's say we'll start with the left hand. Shift the weight into the left hand, and we're going to peel the right hand up towards the sky. Maybe the gaze comes up towards the sky. Big inhale here. And exhale, thread the right hand through the space between the left thigh and palm, and come down onto the shoulder here. So if you're using a prop like I am here, you're not coming all the way down to the ground. If you are not, come all the way down to the ground. So the left hand can stay kickstanded. The elbow can be bent here for support, or you can lift up and reach up to the sky. Maybe the hand comes to the low back and you peel the shoulder open a little bit. For even more support, you can come out onto your left leg like this and get a little deeper into the shoulder. It just depends on your anatomy today, your flexibility. Find what feels good and supportive and roll out onto that shoulder. We'll take one more breath here. Let it go nice and slow. And on the inhale, we'll bring the left hand down, lifting us back to tabletop position. And we'll get right into that on the other side. So shifting the weight into the right hand or the opposite hand, left arm lifts up on an inhale. Maybe the gaze comes to the sky, and exhale, thread the arm through. Take your time here. And if you want to extend that right leg for balance or stability, do so. Find where you want to hang out here. Stretch into the shoulders. And even when the posture is difficult, even if we feel contorted, we find softness in our breath. We find softness in our body. Bringing the awareness inward towards the ground, allowing your body to be supported by the earth, by your props. One last breath here. Deep sigh out. Very good. On an inhale, right hand comes down. Press into the palm, lift back up to tabletop position. Shake it out for just a moment here. And then we're going to come all the way down onto our stomach. So if you do have a prop, let's push it off to the side for now. Walk the hands forward and lower down with the elbows into the side body, nice and soft here. So we're going to sit up on our forearms here. And this is another posture you can use your prop for or not. It's totally up to you. I think that I'm going to use mine, even though I said push it off to the side. I'm going to come up on mine just because it's here, and I think it's a nice way to use your prop here for support. So we'll start with the palms down, tops of the feet are relaxed, elbows are close into the body or as close as you can get them. And then we're going to walk the palms up just a little bit so there's a little bit of space between our body and our hands. And we're going to start by taking the right hand and threading it through the space between the body and the left palm. So just drawing the arm to the opposite side, and then the left arm is going to come on top of that. So we're crossing our arms in either direction here. So kind of like a different variation on thread the needle. This is a good place to bring a block to support the forehead if you'd like. And just take a few moments to breathe. We're always breathing, but there's something different that happens when we intentionally breathe slowly and deeply. So anytime you find that your brain machine starts to take you away from being here, being present, especially when it gets difficult, come back to that sensation of depth and fullness in the breath. And take a check here for space. See if you can inch your fingertips a little bit farther on either side to deepen this shoulder hug. Remind yourself that through this practice, through your prana, through this simple awareness, you can breathe through anything. You are capable of so much. Whatever this heavy sensation is, whatever this is that you're feeling, whatever this is that you've gone through, it will pass. It's not here forever. It's a moment. You can breathe. It will pass. Slowly, slowly, slowly release on the next inhale. Slowly start to slide the arms away from each other and back to center. Take a pause, soften. Maybe reach the arms out. And then maybe reach the arms down towards your side just to reset here. And we'll do that again in the opposite direction. So this time, instead of pulling the right arm through first, let's pull the left arm through first. So we're threading the needle, left arm comes all the way through, right arm comes on top this time. And find your head placement here. I don't want your head to be hanging. I don't want this to be uncomfortable on your neck and your head. So find a way to support yourself here, even if it's unconventional. Even if it's a pile of sweaters that you might have on the floor in reach, it does not matter. Our props are just about supporting our body. For me, my props are about sustainability, keeping my body healthy and strong without overstraining or injuring. And that keeps me coming back to my practice no matter what. You don't have to go spend a lot of money on props. You can use the things you already have. For many years, I used water bottles as blocks for a very long time. And for many years, I used a blanket as every prop. So you can always get creative. Check on the fingers here, see if you can guide them a little bit further on their journey here. Come back to softness. And let this breath remove anything that bubbles to the surface. It might not get everything, but anything that is right at the tip of the tongue, right at the surface. Anything that feels extremely volatile, let the breath remove that with each exhale, one breath at a time. Take one more breath here with an audible exhale. Inhale, slide the arms away. Come back to center, reset here, wiggle around a little bit if you need to. And this time I am going to actually move the prop. I mean it this time. So if you have something that's supporting you, let's bring it off to the side here. And let's come to our bellies here. We're going to stay in this prone position. And we're going to find a position called Hug the Earth. Um, so on the forearms, we're going to keep the left leg nice and long. We're relaxed on the tops of the feet here. We're going to bend through the right leg. So bend that right knee. And I want you to think of keeping your inner thigh close to the ground and the inner foot close to the ground. And it'll look something like this. Okay? So you want to bend the knee and you want the knee as high up as you can comfortably bring it without feeling any pulling or pinching in the hips. We want to try to keep the hips squared off to the mat. So if this bent knee, if you feel like the hip is like coming off the ground severely and you're kind of positioned more on the left side, bring the knee down a little bit, adjust the bend in the knee. I want you to keep the hips as squared off as possible, and you'll start to feel a gentle stretch in the inner hips this way and the inner thigh. So you can rest your head here. You can use a prop or just stack your forearms and find a softness. This might not feel like much, and that's fine. And it might not feel like much at first, and then maybe you start to feel the sensation building as your hips and body start to release into the posture and relax. We won't stay here very much longer. Let's take one more breath here. And exhale, let go. Inhale, come back up with the upper body. Keep the lower body as it is. So we're coming back onto our forearms from here. And we're going to kind of build off of the thread the needle thing that we just did a few times in a few different ways. Right arm, or the arm on the side of the bent leg, whatever side that is for you, is going to bend, elbows at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to bring the left hand through. So I'm kind of on my left shoulder here, but my hips are placed into the earth. So this gets a little tricky. So if my instructions aren't helpful, just watch me. We're going to start to twist over here. So I like to approach this by coming to my big toe on this bent leg or this bent knee and kind of using that to pull me off of my mat into a little twist. So I'm off of my belly, I'm on my side body now, and as I complete the twist, I can move my leg with me. I am going to have both shoulders on the ground. I'm partially off my mat, but that's okay. And so this bottom leg is anchoring me so that I don't completely come onto my back. All right, so you should be feeling in this posture nice, intense stretch through the low back, maybe the side body. If you're having a hard time with this, this is a great place to bring your props in for support. Now you can bring a bolster or a pillow or blanket under the leg to help anchor you further, or you can use a block or anything behind your low back as kind of like a doorstop to keep you from completely turning in this posture. There's a lot of different things that would keep you from feeling very comfortable here. It could be tight hips or a tight low back. But just try, and even if your shoulder is kind of hinging off the ground a little bit, as long as you feel supported and you feel a nice twist through the middle of the body, you're in the right spot. Open the arms up if you have space and take one more breath. Soften wherever you're holding tightly in the body. Let the leg slide away from you. It's not that important. And we'll slowly bring that right arm back over. Slowly come back onto our belly. Release that right leg down towards the earth. And we're back on our forearms here. We've made it. So from here, opposite side, left knee bends up. We'll take a moment here. Breathing. And then when we're ready, we'll come and find the twist. Left hand plants down here. We're going to draw the right arm through to come onto the right shoulder. Use that leg to kind of propel us onto the side body and then onto the back. So shoulders are on the mat and you have at least one hip down. Other hip side of the hip is elevated. And that's going to give you that nice twisting action through the low back, through the side body. Just a couple more breaths here. Soften. Notice where you're holding yourself tightly. You can even use your arm here to keep your knee anchored down or your leg anchored down. And on your next inhale, slowly come back to center, roll back onto the belly. Very good. So we're going to come onto our back from here. So slowly start to make your way onto your back. For Setu Bandha Sarvangasana or bridge pose. And we're going to find this with a little bit of support. So if you have some, grab it. I'm going to use my block. Bend the knees, soles of the feet down towards the ground. Bring the heels up as close to your body as you can get them without compromising your knees. Arms down at the sides, soften through the shoulders, let the shoulders roll back. Gaze is up towards the sky. On an inhale, press into the soles of the feet, bring the knees close together as you lift the hips off the mat. Maybe you come into the shoulders. And bring your block or your blanket or your pillow right up underneath your sacral area. So a good rule of thumb, we all have different anatomy. A good rule of thumb of where your prop, if you're using a prop, where the placement should be is between the lower part of the back, like where your back starts to dip in and where your tailbone is. So that little fleshy part. We don't want the block if you're using something hard. You don't want it in the small of your back. And you don't want it at the tip of your tailbone. Those places are very painful. However, you might feel some discomfort if you're using a block and it's in the right place. It might feel really tight, and that's okay. So find your spot here. And if you're not using a prop at all, find Apanasana. Bring the knees into the chest and kind of roll the low back into the ground. It's a very similar sensation. Just allow the body to really lean into the ground, the block, the blanket, whatever it is. Soften. Allow the body to be heavy here. And if you haven't already, you can move the legs if you want. It turns the volume up on the sensation. So you might not like it, but you might really enjoy that. I like to draw my knees up and center to my body. Sometimes it's nice to just extend the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. And we'll just take a few moments, whatever posture or variation of this bridge you like is for you to take as we wind down our practice. Come back into the sensation of the breath moving throughout your body and cleaning up stress, energy that's stagnant, that is not renewable, that's holding you down. Visualize the breath coming into the body and taking care of some of that toxic waste. Just a couple more breaths here in this position. Find a softness in the face and the shoulders and the neck and the thighs. Slowly start to bring the feet back down to the earth if they're not there already. Keeping the knees and thighs kind of drawn up towards the sky and close together. Inhale and lift the hips up. One last time. Walk the arms down towards the sides, roll the shoulders in, walk the shoulders in, remove any prop you may be using here. Squeeze the glutes, hips up towards the sky, knees coming in together, thighs are not rolling out. Strong. One more breath. And exhale, softly release down into the earth. Slowly, slowly, slowly release the body, surrender everything into the earth. Final Shavasana. Release the legs if you'd like. And find any way to support yourself that feels helpful right now. It means you can bring a blanket over your body or a pillow under the thighs, or you can keep the knees bent. Allow the breath to find its neutral, natural rhythm. And for the next minute or two, this is your time to make your own instruction, to follow your own practice, to choose which thoughts to engage, which thoughts to breathe life into, and which thoughts we let melt like cotton candy in your mouth on a hot summer day. Or maybe candy floss, I think you might know it as well. Let it melt away. We've reached the end of our practice together. Please, I encourage you to extend this meditation as long as you need to. Thank you for joining me and trusting me